What's up guys, how's it going? It's Nick here, back with a new Classic WoW video. I decided to take inspiration from my man Frostadamus and put this Elwyn Forest music to this new video. In this video, I'm going to show you guys a full lockout of Dire Maul, meaning 5 runs back to back. I'm going to go as fast as I can, and see what kind of loot I can get out of it. Hopefully we'll make a bunch of money, and I'll get to show off how amazing this run is. In my opinion, this is the best entry-level mage farm in the game. It beats out ZF by a really big margin. The reason for that is that this dungeon is a higher level dungeon than ZF, so the loot table that drops within it is actually much better. The reason for that being that you can disenchant it for much more valuable materials. What we're here for is the juicy boss loot, the stuff that drops off of Guard Moldar. That stuff, like the green weapons, has a really high expected value in gold. The real reason why this farm is better than ZF is that it's faster. I can run 5 of these in around 35 minutes. And I'll make around the same amount of money that I would make if I were farming ZF. There was a time, not long ago, at the beginning of Phase 3, when rugged leather was at really high prices on the auction house. If your server is one that has, like, any amount of rugged leather sales on the auction house, I would recommend having skinning. If leather does not sell on your server, I would not recommend it. This is my new patented way of pulling the bugs. I'm gonna put my stamp on it right now. I like that because it's safe. When you block like this, it cuts off one of your sides, so that's less incoming damage out of ice block. It also makes them easier to loot because they're nice and condensed. These 2 packs, the dogs and the bugs, are where we're going to get the majority of our green items, like the BOEs. You'll have to get lucky to get those, but over time they will show up. I'm sure that we'll get some in our runs here. Now I'm gonna wait for these dogs to patrol past the boss. I don't want to leash them together. You can fight them both at the same time, with relative ease actually, but it's worth avoiding if you don't have to, you know. It can happen, but not much to worry about. So I like to hit him on this spot. Like if there's a key that I'm trying to teach to fighting this guy. It's finding the correct spot on the mound. The ledge is easy. He's too far away there. The tricky part is finding the correct spot out here, and it's right there. In this exact spot, you will not be line of sighted, which is a tough thing to ask as a gnome. We're quite short creatures, you know. Gnomes have to deal with line of sight like no other race. In Classic. Whoops. I was a little sloppy getting back there. Ooh, he hit me hard there. So anytime you're really low health in this fight, it's worth bandaging. They're very inexpensive, you have plenty of time to heal back up. And there's no rush here. It's better to be safe than sorry. And this boss can hit you very hard, very quickly, as you saw there. As a beginner, I was hesitant to even want to fight this boss. I would farm the dungeon and just leave, because there's some volatility here. Until you learn what the boss can do, he'll surprise you in lots of ways, and deal lots of damage to you. So I would recommend having superior healing potions, if they're not too expensive on your server, and always bandages. Now the Gordok nose ring, if I can mouse over it, has a vendor cost of 2.91 gold. I could disenchant it for an average expected value of 2.45 gold, but because the vendor price is more than the average expected, I just leave that one. Like, I sell that to the vendor. I don't like to take a gamble like that. It's minus EV. So you just run out and reset. Whoa. There's a rogue out there. Let's see what happened to me. Vandy Elvias's. Vandy Levias? He hit me with some things. He didn't get me though, thankfully. So in the meantime, I'm going to recast my buffs. I'm going to eat and drink, and I'm going to show you my gear. Feel free to stop and pause over any particular piece to get a look at it. This one's really sweet. That's my best piece. It's my belt from BWL. I'm really proud of that. I won that with an 88 against all the casters in my guild. Felt very lucky. This isn't my raid suit. Like, this isn't pure DPS. I'm definitely itemizing into intellect and stamina. But even if you don't have a lot of life and a lot of mana, this farm is entirely farmable to you. Like, this is attainable. It's not like Dire Maul East, where you're fighting against elite mobs like the satyrs in there. There's some room for error in this farm, and it's good for a starter mage. Like, if it's your alt, if you're just beginning to gear out a mage and you're trying to make money, this is the way. Now that boss loot is a bit lower than average. Just a bit lower than the average value of a piece of loot. But the spot I'm trying to hit here on the wall, get a good look at it. There's a line beneath me, like a crack on the wall. I'm right at the cusp of the edge. When I turn and face the boss, gotta cast my barriers. My left foot was behind the line here. Those are the best pointers I could give you. And the beauty of this farm is that I can't believe it's allowed. Like, I wonder if this was intentional, if the developers and the designers of this dungeon anticipated this problem of collapsing the dogs on this ledge and their failure to get around the corner. It all just seems too perfect, like a beautiful accident, you know? I wonder if this dungeon is working as intended, you know what I mean? Like, did they mean for this to be farmable like that? I don't know, but it's built into the game and you can farm it. And like I said on the previous run, if rugged leather sells on your server, you should be skinning these dogs. you can make a lot of money. Even if it doesn't, selling it to the vendor, I mean, I was skinning for a long time. But my guild is one of the best on the servers, and they have certain recommendations for my professions. I'm required to have engineering. So for me, it's a choice between skinning and enchanting. And for this run, it's not even close. Enchanting is the way to go. So here on run number 2, I'm going sort of quick. I still have 2 minutes left on that cold snap cooldown. So I will not be able to pull all of the bugs at once. So in this case, you'll do them in threes. And I don't get too concerned about what drops in the short term. Like, I'm not really looking down at the gear. I'm just trying to put my head down and get through it. After a while, it all sort of blends together, and the luck evens out. You will get cool things if you farm this enough, so don't be too concerned about what drops in the short term. Just keep your head down and keep going. That's more the point that I was trying to get to there, is that Classic will reward you in time. If you put the time in, you'll find some really cool things on these bugs, let me tell you. And you can see by my last Moldar kill, if I can scroll up, you can see I've killed him 772 times. And I'm just getting started, to be honest. This is what keeps me coming back to Classic WoW. It's why I log in. It's how I enjoy playing the game. I love raiding, and I love parsing, and I love progressing through the game. But my guild was able to clear BWL in 3 hours on the first try. You know, the content in raiding isn't super hard, and you can only do it once a week. So in the meantime, if you're looking to have consumables, and you're not interested in buying gold like I'm not trying to break my terms of service. I've been waiting a long time for Classic WoW to come out, and the last thing I want to do is sully my experience and compromise my account by doing things that are against terms of service. But believe you me, it can be quite daunting looking at some of the prices on the auction house. Having consumables for a raiding guild is no small feat nowadays, and people are gouging the marketplace, getting obscene prices for things like greater fire protection potions, and mana potions now on my server are obscenely priced, like 7 gold. It's outrageous. So it's hard times out here in Classic WoW. You need to be making money. And I'm not sure that everyone knows how to do that. I know a lot of people heard that if you play Mage, mages make a lot of money, right? Just play a mage and you'll be rich, they said. But it's not quite that simple. You still have to put the work in, and you want to be doing something that has a lot of value within it, where your time invested is going to have a nice yield or return. I think a lot of starter mages are doing things like ZF, or maybe the Dark Shore spot. The trolls there. And while those are okay, I still enjoy this one the best. Mostly because I'm so practiced at it, I feel very comfortable in here. And as always, you have lots of time here in this boss fight. I know he's one sliver of health and he's about to die anyway, but we're gonna run this again, right? I said I was gonna run this 5 times in one video, so I'm gonna stick with that. So it makes sense there for me to take the time and get back to full health and mana, so I can jump back in, run it again, and not have to eat and drink again. At least for as long. I am trying to go fast here. Like, I'm taking it easy to a degree. You know, like stopping and pausing maybe a little bit longer than I would if I weren't talking, but I'm still trying to go fast. A lot of horde out there, outside the portal. Gotta be careful when you're, bopping out of that portal. It's a long run back, believe you me. You see that blink? Oh, sometimes you can make that blink and you don't trigger any aggro. It's a really precise spot, actually. I was trying to capture that there, but it didn't work out. So there's always this patrol of dogs. And if you need mana and you're drinking up here, it's worth waiting for these dogs to patrol over to the right side of the room. Like, if it works out in sequence with what your condition is, you should wait for these dogs. It adds a little bit of value in grays. And of course, you never know if the greens are on those dogs too. I like to think of it that way. Suppose I could show you my spec here. Just a standard Frost Arcane. I have clear casting in Arcane, but basically a full Frost build. Definitely Permafrost and improved Blizzard. And of course, improved Frostbolt for fighting Moldar. Sometimes I forget that other classes can't do things like this. Like, the Mage class does have some beautiful novelty to it. All sorts of trickery that other classes couldn't conceive of being able to do. It may or may not be worth noting, but I think it's kind of fun, that you make money in this run by doing 3 different things, like casting 3 different spells. For the first step, you make money casting Blizzard. But on the bugs, you make your money casting Cone of Cold and Arcane Explosion. But for the boss, you make your money casting Frostbolt, which I find really fun. It's just kind of a nifty, a nifty data point, I guess, regarding this farm. A neat little factoid. Alright, I'll stop. So you might be wondering, how much are these gray items worth here? Like when I'm looting these dogs here. I know I started the video with some things in my bag, so it's gonna be difficult to show you guys exactly how much money I made. But I can say on average, those dogs are worth around 1.4 gold in gray items alone. Now, you will get green items in them too. I haven't been able to show you that yet because I haven't been terribly lucky this time, but 1.4 gold each time you kill those dogs. These bugs, however, are around 90 silver in gray items alone on average. I hope you guys enjoy this Elwyn Forest music. I find it a quite nice ambiance. It's very relaxing. Oh my gosh, I'm sitting and I'm not drinking. Wasting time. Precious time. So here I can pull them all together again. It would be very nice to have some really cool item to drop. Some nifty drop to show off, you know? That would be pretty sweet for the video. But again, like I said before, I'm not too worried about what drops every time I run this. I just keep clicking, you know? I'll worry about that later. Just put the work in, and good things will happen. And they do, believe me. I've gotten like a Myrmidon signet, like Mooncloth bag patterns, lots of fire resistance rings. The resistance rings are, not terribly valuable now. You'll get like 40 gold on my server for a fire res ring. But the frost resistance ones, the nature res, those rings are going to be worth a tremendous amount of money in the later phases of Classic. So the green items are the big money drops that drop in here and that don't drop in things like ZF. Because the mobs aren't high enough of levels. If I can get my words out there. So I always hit this spot first. To get that extra cast off. And if he charges, you have time to get on the ledge. It gets him closer. And I like to keep him at arm's length. If you've really mastered this fight, you should never die. And you should probably not take any damage either if you're being really disciplined and diligent in fighting him. I'm going to try to show that here by not recasting Ice Barrier. Any hits that I take here are going to go right to my health pool. And I'm doing this to show you guys where you want to position the boss. What's going through my mind here when he walks away is as long as he's right there, like at the end of the mound, I'm gonna get that Frostbolt off. I have the time. He will not be out of range. So, unless he's too far away, like he's past the mound, I'm gonna cast that Frostbolt. Or jump off the ledge to bring him closer. And again, I'm not putting on any mana shield here. Any Ice Barrier. And I take no damage. Because it's possible. And it's attainable. If you practice. 774 victories on this guy. So what sorts of loot did we get here? We got a nose ring, we got a robe of combustion, and some bulky iron spaulders. What are they called? Spaldrons? No, they're spalders. Oh, that mage. He fire blasted me. Okay, so I'm in trouble here. I have low health. Phew, there's no horde out there. Thank goodness. Now for the blue items, you always know what you're going to get when you disenchant this guy. Large brilliant shard. But for this green, like the robe, I do not know what I'm going to get. Like, I have an average disenchant value of 2.45 gold, which is more than the 1.58 I could get for vendoring it. But I'm not always going to make that much. See here, I got 1 illusion dust. The disenchanting randomness is one of the somewhat maddening things about this run, in that sometimes you're going to get very lucky and get lots of Greater Eternal Essence. Like, you'll be shocked at how much how much money you're going to make really quickly, and other times you're going to feel like every weapon you disenchant is illusion dust and you're permanently unlucky. Those are just sort of the highs and lows that you need to ride out when you're farming this guy. Don't be discouraged, like, I know it hurts to get unlucky, and sometimes you're thinking of the money that you could have made if you just sold it to the vendor. But luck is just a residue of design. Like, eventually variance evens out, you know? The law of averages tends to prevail in the end, you know? You'll get lucky eventually. Always make sure that your ice barrier and mana shield have enough time remaining on them to last through that ice block. There's no worse feeling than forgetting to rebuff there. If you cast fresh ones on the ledge over there, you should be fine. But again, the first part, we make our money casting Blizzard. And that just clears the way to the other stuff. But it's nice to cast Blizzard. It's one of the Mage's most powerful spells, you know? Like, you should be using it to make money in the game. This is, of course, one way to do that. But I like how it's not our only spell in here, you know? We get to do other things, too. Excuse me. I will need to drink up here, unfortunately. Gonna spend some time here. Now, why am I wearing this wand? 5 and 5 stamina. You might ask yourself that. Well, it's basically the best piece I can have here. Int and stamina is all you really want in this dungeon, and spell damage doesn't deal that much, or doesn't have enough of an impact to make me want to wear it when I'm casting Blizzard or dealing with these bugs. Like, when you're running this dungeon, you want to think about exactly doing this dungeon and what the requirements are for that. It's nice to have spell damage when you're fighting this boss. Believe me, you want your Fire Blast to deal a lot of damage, and you want your Frost Bolts to deal damage. It makes the run faster. But it is not mandatory at all to run this. Like, you could have the worst gear in the world, and you could run this. I know my gear was not great always at the beginning of being level 60. So if you're just watching this as like an alt mage, you may have stumbled upon this video sometime in the future. But this is a farm that isn't run enough. I think it's kind of underrepresented amongst classic players. More people should be doing it, and there's not enough people doing it. I think it has a bad reputation of being less gold than something like ZF. But what people don't know is that you can make that money up by having enchanting. Make it up and then some. Enchanting materials are a nice thing to stockpile because they don't cost any money to list on the auction house. Nice, our first BOE. I'm so relieved to show you guys that greens can drop off of those things. Off like the last bug too. Wow. Took forever to get there, but we got one. I was saying about the enchanting materials. Is there a good thing to stockpile? You want to hold on to those for the entire lifespan of Classic WoW. get your free enchants and stuff. That's a good feeling. And they can also sell for whatever price you want them to be sold for. There's no pressure because there's no deposit on the listing. Sell them for what you want to sell them for, and hold the rest. Or hold all of them if you're like me. I have like 200 Greater Eternal Essence in the bank, or scattered around my bank alts. Just waiting for it to spike up in price. It did for a period of time, like when Phase 3 came out. Greater Eternal was selling for like 9 gold on my server. So, every time you see a green weapon, when you're fighting Moldar, there's a good chance it's going to be worth like almost 20 gold if Greater Eternal Essence has a value of 10, you know? A very good chance, actually. So, the boss loot off of Moldar is a big reason why this farm is great. And a lot of the money you're going to be making is going to be through that. But not all of it. I have a notebook of like recordings of the values of certain things that drop in here. Like, I logged all of the gray items and the number of BOEs for certain, like, 5-run sets. I was trying to keep pretty detailed stats on the gold values to give you guys some concrete numbers on how much money you're going to make on average, things like that. That's the question I get most often is, well, how much money am I going to make, right? On average. And it's tough to say, because I don't know the value of these materials on your server. It's going to be hard for me to speculate what that is, but I can only go by my own experience and what my server has things priced at. But for the prices on my server, I had it around 60 to 70 gold on average in 5 runs. That's around 12 gold per run, or 12 and a half, something like that. I'm not sure that in this video I've lived up to that high clip. Haven't gotten very lucky, actually. No green weapons, things of that nature. And those things are quite frequent in here. So, won't be able to show you guys any big ticket drops, I don't think, but they do exist, believe me. They do exist. And the major mana potion isn't to be scoffed at. 1.5 gold for that, another Gordok nose ring. And I think I have one more run before I'm locked out. Should be one more run. I'm quite sure it hasn't been 30 minutes. It's been much more than that, I think. So this isn't speedruns live here. I wasn't as fast as I had hoped to be, or as fast as I have been in the past sometimes, but what can you do? I did have one really clean Guard Moldar fight where I didn't use Ice Barrier, so I'm happy to be able to show that. I think that's one of the more tricky things to be able to learn in farming this. Like, you want to have a good solid foundation on fighting Moldar. That's where you want to feel comfortable. The dogs and the bugs are fairly easy. You're going to pick up those quickly. What people are going to stumble on is fighting the artificial intelligence inside this boss, because he's like a bucking bronco. You start to underestimate this boss, and he'll get you, believe me. I think I have around 50 wipes on the boss, and almost 800 victories, so what is that, 1 in 8 times? And that's a lot of death at the beginning. I don't die very much anymore, but it took a bit of time to feel more comfortable in fighting him. So again, look, my left foot is behind the line. It doesn't need to be right up on the edge. Give yourself some room. It doesn't even matter. You just want to be angled toward the boss. It is worth noting that you want to wait to block until the last second, so that the last dogs can get to you. You can wait a second here. If you cast that blizzard too early, some dogs will break out of the Nova and they will streak forward past all of them. You don't want that, so it's better to wait and let them all break out at the same time naturally. If you cast that blizzard too early, you can encounter some problems. Things that'll slow you down. Waste your time. Sometimes I dream about buying gold and quitting this, all this farming, you know? But, I really do believe that purchasing currency in the game for real money is ruining your experience. The economy of Classic is what keeps me coming back. Like, I find it fascinating to make investments, to sell things, buy things at certain price points. It's like its own little economy, and it is really fun to play with it. But in order to play, you have to pay $15 a month. 15 bucks. Little man, put that in my hand. If you want to play Classic, you got to put up that money. And the time you spend in it better be worth something. That's how I think about it. But fun means different things to different people. If you're the type of person that doesn't mind spending 40 minutes making money in your MMO, then you're like me. I don't mind putting the time in if I know I'm going to get something back. Something that's worthwhile. And to keep my experience intact, like my integrity and the value of my account, that stuff is priceless. Here we go, last pack of bugs before the last boss. The final boss. If you're watching this video and you've made it this far, I want to say thank you guys so much for watching. I can't say thank you enough. This is a really long video, and if I kept your attention for this long, man, I feel lucky for that and grateful to have you this far. So thank you so much for watching. Again, no BOEs on those bugs. Believe me, you'll get some greens. We got 1 in 5 runs. That may be one of the lowest amounts that I've ever seen. But I find that kind of funny, and I like it actually a lot more because clearly I've run this a bunch of times, and I'm not too concerned with what I get to show you guys. I know there's a lot of treasure in here. You guys will have to take my word for it. You saw how I waited a bit to jump off that ledge? That was to position the boss further away. You want to keep him at arm's length. I did throw on a barrier there. I'm not trying to play Matador anymore. I've shown you guys it's possible. Last thing I would want to do is fail at the end of this video. So we're going to play it safe. Not be cocky. And I guess these are the dying moments of the video. Not much to see here, just cleaning them up. Trying to focus there a little bit. And almost 800 kills, like we're working on it. Another nose ring. That's uncanny. Look, I've got 4 of them. What's wrong with the nose ring? I think chicks with the nose ring are hot. Anyways, that's gonna about do it. I'm gonna show you guys my suit again. Those are my pieces. If you have any questions, feel free to leave them in the comment section. And I'll be sure to get back to any of you. If you're wondering, like, if you're having trouble, like, with the dogs, or with the bugs, or with the boss, anything. Again, you guys, thank you so much for watching. I may not have much gold to show you from these particular runs, but as you can see, this farm is great. It's somehow built into the game. Like, I see it as a beautiful accident and one of the best kept secrets in Classic WoW. So if you're a starter mage and you're looking for something to run to bank up some cash and position yourself with some wealth going forward in this game, I would highly recommend Dire Maul North. If you like this video, hit the like button. Thank you guys again, and I'll see you guys next time.